Hey, my loves. Whew, I do not know what is going on in May. So I fell last week, and then today is Saturday. I believe it's Saturday. Thursday night was a rough night, not gonna lie. I don't know what happened, and I don't know how much is TMI to share, but basically I think I got hit with a bad case of food poisoning, plus a lot of like stress that was sort of causing me to have a lot of anxiety. When I get anxious, I get nauseous, and I think that coupled with some bad breakfast that I had just did not end the evening well. I was out when it happened, so there were a couple incidents, the worst of which was me hunched over a public garbage can. Yeah, it was like the ending of The Hangover. Like, I wish I had the first part of The Hangover. It was like, woohoo, like party. Yeah, there was none of that, but all of like the after. It was a rough Thursday night. It was a Friday in bed all day. Like, I hadn't slept because I couldn't sleep. I was up every 2 hours. I'm still a little nauseous. I've got my ginger ale next to me because we're still not over the worst of it, but it's just nausea at this point. So I thought I want to do my makeup. I want to film a couple videos. This video is today's video, and I never film on the same day, so hopefully I can get this up today and you'll have it a little late, but at least you'll have the daily video up. I have found a whole new respect for pregnant women. So Rada, I thought I was like I'd reached the pinnacle level of how high I could respect you for all you did. But my God, after this like 1.5 day of horrible misery, I have even more respect for you and dealing with morning sickness. So anyways, if I'm still a little off, I'm trying to swallow slowly so that we don't have another incident, and keep myself together. In terms of how my wrist is doing, it is bruising really nicely, which to most may not sound like good thing, but it is a good thing. It means that it's just a bruise and it's healing, and I'm really happy. So I've had it out of sort of the wrap and out of being iced for about 1.5 days now, and it's been doing well. Here's hoping the next couple weeks in May aren't as crazy as the last 1.5 weeks. Yeah, let's talk about books, shall we? I thought, what better way to get myself back in the swing of things than doing another book recommendation video. So that's what we're gonna do. This is book recommendations part 2. I will link part 1 down in that description box. I'm thinking of doing one of these every couple months as I get some new recommendations to share with you all. So let's just get started, shall we? I have 10 books, and I'm just going to run through titles. I'll list them all below as well and give you a little bit without giving too much of the book away. Okay. Oh, the nausea's hitting back. We're going to be fine. We're going to get through this. Book number 1, I think I've mentioned to you guys before. It's called Listen to the Squawking Chicken by Elaine Lu. I think L-U-I. It's just a beautiful story. It's sort of an homage to her mother and sort of stories about her mother and the two of them and her growing up. Anyone that has a relationship, not a troubled relationship, anyone who has a mom who cares and gives her opinion about everything in their lives, as old or as young as they are, will find something in this book. It's really well written. It's really funny. And I really enjoyed it. And plus, my mom actually gave it to me for my birthday, which made it even that much more special. Number 2 recommendations is not one book, it's a trilogy. It's the Liveship Traders trilogy by Rob and Hobb, which I think I talked about a lot when I was first started recording my videos, because that was what I was reading at the time. It's an amazing trilogy. It's about, it's sort of set in like a medieval kind of time. And there are these ships that everyone, like it's a very, the whole society is based upon trading and ports, and like there's a word, I'm sure there's a word, but sort of like marine trading. Like they all have ports, and they all have ships docked at ports, and they all do all their trading via ships. But I don't know, it's one of those, I was always sort of skeptical about sort of fantasy type books. I had a certain stereotype about them, and this series, as well as the Game of Thrones series, I'm going to talk about that series in a minute, but they've both really changed my view on fantasy novels, because fantasy, at least these two series that I'm going to talk about, they have a lot of very human interest type stories, so it's a lot about families and relationships and that kind of dynamic. I've made great friends in these books, even though the bestie tells me that I'm not allowed to have friends that are ships or fictional characters. I'm going to have friends that are ships and fictional characters. They're really big books, the three in this series, but they're really great reads, and they read so quickly, and I cannot recommend them highly enough. Okay, my third recommendation, like I told you, is the Game of Thrones series, which technically is called A Song of Ice and Fire by George R.R. Martin. So it's a series of 8, I believe, at the moment. He's working on the 9th and 10th, as far as I know. And I actually haven't gotten to watching the show yet. I got into the books first. And it's funny because you need to be warned. He has a tendency of killing off like every single character you fall in love with. There are still characters from book 1 that have made it to book 8, but the majority all die. And so I remember when I read, there's a particular scene in one of the books, I want to say it's the 4th book, but I could be wrong, called The Red Wedding, which is also in the series on TV. So I remember when I read that chapter in the book, I was like just traumatized. I called Alex up. I was like, why would you recommend these books to me? This is traumatizing. And so it was funny because when it aired a little bit later, because obviously the books have come before the series on TV, people were losing it, going crazy on social media, just like losing their minds. And I was like, oh, psh, you're still there, we're over it, come on, keep moving. So many more people have died. So just fair warning, he has a tendency of liking to kill off people, but again, it's a really great story. Amazing sort of interpersonal dynamics and just very well written, so I highly recommend it. Number 4 is His Lovely Wife by Elizabeth Dewberry. So this book is, it's interesting. It's set in Paris, and I feel like I have something on my lip. Set in Paris, and she gets mistaken for Princess Diana, and the whole book sort of goes in and out with her sort of having these strange kind of connections with the late princess, and her own sort of coming to terms with where she is in her life, and that kind of mirroring what some of the things that Princess Diana went through. I'm doing a very poor job of explaining it, but it's one of those really beautifully written books that really stands on its own as a really, really great piece of literature. So I really like that one. Number 5 is The Alice of Love by Laurie Frankel. And so I think this is for anyone that's going through a period in their life that doesn't look like they think it's supposed to. So I know I read it when I had just graduated and I was home after university, and I had these ideas in my mind of what post-grad life was supposed to be like, and I wasn't in that space. And I read this book and it made me really happy. It gave me hope. It just shows you that not normal, but it shows you like that stereotypes on what is expected is boring, and that there are ways to be happy and find love and feel fulfilled that don't look like sort of the path most taken, if you will. So it's a gorgeous book. It's one I've gifted to friends that have been going through similar things as I have when I read it, and it's an excellent read. Number 6 recommendation is The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafon. And this was actually a recommendation I got from a few of you on my last book recommendations, and it's beautiful. I tried to explain it, I tried to sum it up, and I couldn't think of a better way to describe it than this quote that I found from the New York Times, so I'm going to tell it to you, the quote. And the quote says, it's Gabriel García Márquez meets Umberto Eco meets Jorge Luis Borges for a sprawling magic show. And I really, if you don't know who those 3 authors are, they're just, Google them, read some of their work as well, because they are masters at what they do. And so I thought that there was no more beautiful way to sort of encapsulate what this book was about than that gorgeous quote. So thank you again for that recommendation. As always, please leave me any other ones that you have down below. In that same sort of light, my 7th recommendation is Chronicle of a Death Foretold by Gabriel García Márquez, which is a beautiful book. The first line of the book is oh, I'm gonna butcher it, but it's like, today is the day that I died, or this is, or by the end of this book I'll be dead, or something. Maybe I should Google it. Hold on. Okay, so I was thinking of The Outsider. In The Outsider by Albert Camus, he goes, today is the day that mother died. But in Chronicle of a Death Foretold, it starts with, on the day they were going to kill him, Santiago Nassar got up at 5:30 in the morning to wait for the boat the bishop was coming on. So it basically chronicles the day that he dies backwards, and then there are some sort of flashbacks, and it's all written in a journalistic kind of style. It's a very interesting book, and it captures sort of that magical realism in a beautiful way while still sort of being in a journalistic style. It's cool because it's written, again, like, it's that magical realism coupled with a very sort of journalistic type of writing. It's very unique and very well done. It's super short, so it's, if you're short on time, I would pick that one up for sort of a quick escape. Number 8 is a classic, but classic for a reason. It's Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. You all probably know the story, you've seen the movie, or you've seen movies inspired by the story, but it is definitely not overrated, and I could definitely not recommend it highly enough. So that's definitely my 8th recommendation. Number 9, I thought another classic that I really have loved reading is Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. Again, beautiful, dark, heart-wrenching, like, amazing writing. There is actually a movie, one of my favorite actors is Tom Hardy, who you probably would know as Bane from the last Batman movie. There's a PBS movie called Heathcliff that he is in that is amazing. Like, it's so well done. I'm probably a little bit biased because I have a fascination with all things Tom Hardy. But if you've read the book, or if you want something to convince you to read the book, I would suggest the film as well. And it is done by PBS, so it's not like overly glamorized. It's very well done. But the book is beautiful, and just anytime I pick it up, it like transports me to like sitting with a cup of tea during a rainy day. Like, as beautiful as the day is outside, that's just kind of the mood that the book creates. And I love, like, one of my favorite things to do is sit inside and read on a rainy day. So I love that that book can just do that for me. So one of my favorites for sure. And then the last one is sort of a cheat. It's a poem, and it's called Lament for Ignacio Sanchez Mejias by Federico Garcia Lorca. And my accent is horrible, so I apologize. I found a link for the poem, and I'll put it down below. It's actually the piece I did for Worlds. Yeah, I was a speech and debate nerd, and so I got to go to Worlds my senior year of high school, and that's the piece I did. I didn't do as well as I wanted with that piece. I think when I was competing against people doing sort of Dr. Seuss or some more sort of accessible kinds of poetry, when you read this poem, you're going to see that it's not the most accessible, but it's gorgeous. And it's part of that poem. There's a film based on Lorca's life that sort of depicts his struggles and his clashes with the regime. And in one of the last scenes in that movie, he's looking up at the moon as they're about to sort of shoot him in the back of the head. And he recites a part of this poem, which is the reason I wanted to do it. And to this day, I don't regret doing it because it's gorgeous and it still like resonates so strongly with me. But I will leave you guys, I found a link for it, so I'll leave that link down for you below if you want to have a read through, because it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous piece. Okay, the nausea's hitting back again. I'm going to go lie down, but before I do that, I'm going to do 3 points of positivity. And I'm going to pray to God that I can get this video up today because I don't want to miss a day of videos. So my 3 points of positivity is, first and foremost, I am feeling better. I have to be super, super grateful for the fact that I'm sitting upright today, if you can see that. I've kept my breakfast down, which is awesome, and I'm on the mend, so I can't complain too hard. That's definitely the first thing I'm most grateful for. The second thing I'm most grateful for is my beautiful aunt and amazing friends who made sure I got home safely, who checked in on me every little while, who brought me ginger ale and pretzels, who took care of me when I'm sick. Being sick alone is the hardest thing ever. And so I am so incredibly grateful for all the beautiful people that were either here in person for me, that took the time to text, that showed me love in all those different great ways. I am so eternally, eternally grateful. And yeah. And my third point of positivity was we did get to go see $1 Million Arm yesterday, and I was not at my greatest, but I made it through the movie. And it is actually a really cute, really sweet movie. It's so funny. I I definitely recommend it if you want sort of a lighthearted film that's probably appropriate for most everyone. And yeah, I was definitely my third point of positivity. I'm gonna log off before this gets super TMI. I'm sending you guys tons of love, thanking you for being here, and as always, just want to leave you by reminding you that life is just too short to wear boring lipstick. Bye guys!